Welcome to another exciting episode of As Precalculus Works. This is Mr. Langston. I'm going to be your host today on this exciting journey of section 1-1, rectangular coordinates. So, I do want to give you a bit of a disclaimer. For some reason, there is a problem with my pen. It is not marking where it's supposed to mark. So I can see it on my end, but when you look on your end, you're like, what? So I'm sorry about it. I have no control over it. This is just one of the fascinating features of technology that, well, we're just going to have to get used to. So what I've got for you right now is plotting points in a Cartesian coordinate plane. Now, to do that, what I need you guys to do is, first thing, let's understand what the points signify and mean. If I'm looking at point -2, 3, what it's telling me is this is the x-coordinate and this is the y-coordinate. So what I've essentially got is a representation of where on this coordinate plane -2, 3 is. So this is again x, y. Here is the y-axis. I've got the x-axis over here. Now, yeah, I've labeled it y, I've labeled it x, but really what I want you to understand is the direction of things. So from the origin, this is the positive y direction. From the origin, this is the positive x direction. Over here, I've got the negative x direction. Over here, I've got the negative y direction. Now, why is that important? Because now all you have to do is start from the origin and you can move to the direction where this coordinate is, -2, 3. You can move in that direction. So, for instance, from the origin, starting at the origin, I can move -2, 1, 2 in the x direction. And now I can move 3, positive 3 in the y direction, 1, 2, 3. So right here is my coordinate -2, 3. Again, I move 2, 3. And that's what I got. -2, 3. Any cuestiones? Nope. All right, good. So the next one I've got 1, -3. So I move 1 in the x direction from the origin. And now I go -3. 1, 2, 3. Right here is my coordinate. And moving right along, right along, right along. I've got from my origin 2, 1. So I'm going to go 2, 1. Booyah! Right there. Let's label it 2, 1. And now, lastly, I start from my origin. I have -2, -2, -2 in the x direction, -2 in the y direction. So, -2, -2. And it didn't write. I am disappointed. -2, -2. Bada bing, I've cleansed the demon. Praise the Lord. So, there you are. That's all you have to do to graph. Moving along to the next slide. I've got distance formula. Distance formula is pretty simple. Distance formula. So to do the distance formula, I've got it up here. D equals square root of x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Essentially, where it comes from is our good friend Pythagoras. Yep. It comes from the Pythagorean, O-R-I-A-N, theorem. Actually, what I can tell you is it really didn't come from Pythagoras. The Pythagorean theorem was named after him by his followers. They attributed the theorem to him, but nope, he didn't make up the theorem. Just a little side funny fact, whatever. So, the Pythagorean theorem. All you have to do once you have your points, you need to find the distance using distance formula is plug it in from S.C. Johnson, a family company. So first thing I tell my students to do, label your points. So for instance, I'm just going to label this x1. I'm going to label this y1. I'm going to label this x2. I'm going to label this y2. And there you are. I labeled my points. Now it just becomes a plug-in problem. So I've got x2 is 2. So that's 2. x1's -1. y2 is 4. y1 is 3. 4, 3. So again, just plugging it in. So D equals square root 2 minus -1 quantity squared plus 4 minus 3 quantity squared. Remember, it's all under a square root. Okay, now you guys may be looking at this and you're like, no, Mr. Langston, you put two negatives next to each other. It makes me so sad. Well, guess what, you guys? You can put two negative signs next to each other. It's, shall I say, poor form. But there technically is nothing wrong with having two negatives next to each other. A lot of people will say, no, you got to put it in the parentheses here like so. Well, you could do that. That's perfectly fine. You could do that. But you don't really need to. You can technically just have it where it's -1. And what do these two negatives next to each other mean? It means change it into a positive. What's the matter with you? So you go, okay, 2 plus 1. Quantity squared, not a problem. We're all good. And then 4 minus 3, again, put your quantity squared, please. Square root. You know what? I'm just being lazy right now. I'm not going to put the D equals till the end. So 2 plus 1, quantity squared. 2 plus 1, quantity squared. 2 plus 1, quantity squared. Hopefully my students are listening and they're all yelling out, 3, quantity squared. And now 4 minus 3, quantity squared. If you're listening, you're yelling out, 1, quantity squared. Okay? Don't forget, under square root. 3 squared, 9. 1 squared, 1. Be sure you add under square root. 9 plus 1, 10. Square root of 10. Oh, don't forget D equals. Now, specifically for my students only, I require you guys to turn in your homework online. So when you try to go into Google Docs and turn in your homework, there's no square root symbol. Oh my God, what you gonna do? Well, we talked about it. You're going to write SQRT all in lowercase and put square root 10. And then don't forget, when you put it into Google Docs, you're going to put D equals, no spaces, SQRT 10 in parentheses. That tells me square root of 10. Okay? So let's go to the next problem, which is midpoint formula. Now, doing the midpoint formula, again, it becomes a plug-in problem. You got m equals x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And the midpoint is the point in between 2 points. So if I made a point here, I made a point here. Sorry about the bell. The midpoint is exactly in between, and it gives me the coordinates of the point that is in between these 2 points. So let's actually calculate the midpoint. To do that, again, like I tell everybody, x1, y1, x2, y2. And you're going to say it with me. Plug it in, plug it in. From S.C. Johnson, a family company. Yes. So, for instance, you got x1, -4, plus x2, 3, over 2, comma, y1, -1, y2, 5. And that again is over 2. Now again, don't forget your m equals. And now, simplify, man. So for instance, -4 plus 3, -1 over 2. -1 plus 5, 4 over 2. All right, what now? Well, let's just take care of this 4 over 2 here. So I got -1 over 2. 4 over 2, well, that's just 2. When you enter it into Google Docs, because Google Docs doesn't have a little fraction function or nothing like that, what you're going to do, just type in m equals parentheses -1/2, comma, 2 in parentheses. Don't put any spaces, by the way. And that's what my students are going to do when they enter it into Google Docs. Any questions? Well, if there are questions, tell you what, this is what you need to do. If you're in my classroom right now listening to this video, you need to look at me and say, Mr. Langston, I got a question. And then I'll answer your question. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I got more coming your way. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Thank you. Thank you. You have a good day. Take care.